on woodworking's most advanced and most innovative track saw. This saw has more features on it than anything else on the market. And even if you're a Festool hater, there's things on this that are gonna blow your mind. Let's go. Festool is well known for making extremely good track saws. I've owned one for several years and it always ends up on my Mount Rushmore of track saws along with some top brands. But this one is on another level by itself because it has a couple of features here that no other track saw has. This review is coming to you courtesy of my editor Chris, who requested this review. Say hi, Chris. If you have requests for reviews on tools, comment below what you'd like to see. I'll see if I can check it out. Now, let's put this through the paces. Before we get started, if you'd like to check out this saw, this limited edition track, or anything else you see in this video, I'll link them in the description and the pinned comment to help you find them easier. Also, that shop button here on YouTube, if available. It's a big old tall sustainer for a Festool. That new Festool smell. All right, so I had a little bit of concern about the actual sustainer itself because I've had some people comment and say that some of these Festool track saws are coming with plastic inserts, but this one has a foam, and I haven't seen any that has the, oh man, that is awesome. I haven't seen any that has the plastic insert, so I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments if you've seen that. This also has the 100-year anniversary tag on it, if depending on when you buy it or if you buy it, if that'll still be there or not. 1925 to 2025, 100 years. I did go with the corded version. I don't think they have a cordless version of this one anyway. Man, this thing looks cool. I mean, it's just a cool looking saw. Like this extra scoring blade on here I think is gonna be really cool. All right, this is completely an unnecessary purchase on my part. I have plenty of tracks, but I absolutely could not resist. I saw one of these in a Woodcraft and I thought, oh. As soon as I saw them when they released them, I was like, why are you doing this to me, Festool? Oh my gosh. This shouldn't be, I just shouldn't like this so much, but I mean, that is awesome. Just the blue with that green stripe. Whew, this is a sharp looking track. If you're a fan of tools and you just like good looking stuff, I love this. Now, Milwaukee makes one that's red, but it's not available in the US. Why? It should be. It's available, I think, in Europe or somewhere, but that is a good looking track right there by Festool. I would love to see a track saw in this colorway. That's awesome. Man, it just looks good. This might go up here when we're done. Now, first impressions out of the box, it's a Festool. It feels extremely nice, like high quality. Just the fit and finish of Festool tools are some of the best on the market. They compete with Milwaukee, they compete with Makita, Mafel, whatever you got, this can compete with it. Just the ergonomics and everything that's on these tools are really nice. And just the way they feel in the hand, really nice. Now you might notice this track saw is a little longer than others because it has two motors on this saw. One for the regular blade, one for the scoring blade. And this scoring blade is one of the things that's going to set it apart from anything else on the market. Now you have to set this up one time and then you should be good till you change the blade, which should be a long time. It's a diamond blade, diamond tooth blade. A new track with this one. This is not a necessary purchase, but it is a necessary purchase for a fan of Festool. Power up. This activates first. This is your scoring blade, and then this blade is very soon after that. The great news is, if you don't need the scoring blade, you can turn that off. And when you turn that off, not only does it deactivate the power to the blade, it also deactivates the plunging of that blade, so it's not going to get in the way. If you only need the scoring feature every so often, you can deactivate that and activate that anytime you want with a flip switch on the back that simply says on and off. Now this is a TSV60, 60 meaning 60 millimeter for your blade size. The other saw that I have is a TSV55, 55 millimeter blade, so we are getting more cut depth with this saw as well versus the other one. The other amazing feature about this saw, it has anti-kickback. And you can turn that off for whatever reason you need to. But what that does, when you plunge this saw, you'll see a little metal tab if it's not on the track. If it's on the track, when you plunge it, that metal tab is actually going to come in contact with the track. And should, for whatever reason, you get a kickback and it jumps off the track, that will shut the motor down. Amazing safety feature. I love that about the Festool saws. My older Festool has that as well. It is a fantastic safety feature and a great technology to have on these saws, and it's one of the things that sets Festool apart from a lot of the competition. And I did mention this has a bigger blade at 60 millimeters, and what that means is you're going to get 2 7/16 inch depth of cut off the track and 2 1/4 inches on track, or 57 millimeters for those that want to know that, or 62 millimeters off track. So we are getting quite a bit more cut depth on this saw. Now they do have a 75 also if you just need max cut depth. The whole saw's, you had to buy a whole new saw, not blade. Obviously you can do bevel cuts with this. It is set from the factory at 0 and 45. You can adjust this little window if you need to. You just loosen that up and you can move this. Should be dead on accurate from the factory, but I would suggest testing it. I love how Festool does this indicator. It is pinpoint accurate. You don't have to worry about big fat indicators. I think DeWalt's the one that had the big old fat indicator. It's hard to tell exactly what degree you're on. If you needed to dial in the perfect bevel degree, this is the way to go. There are 2 twist knobs, one on the front, one on the back, very high quality as you would expect, to lock those or loosen those to move it. You also get a very nice depth scale. This is different than the TSV55 that I have. That's just a push, move, push. I like it a lot. This is a pinch and move. Still very nice. I'm glad it's not like a single pole. It is still that pinch and move. It slides really nice. You do get 2 scales, millimeter as well as inches, and you do get on track and off track. There are detents there if you need it. You can press it all the way down and not feel the detents, but if you just slightly depress and move it, you will get a detent at every mark that it's able to stop at. Not only that, but you also have a fine-tuned knob right there on top that you can really dial in the depth of your cut to make it perfect. I'm a fan of this one. And you also get those really pinpoint accurate indicators. So they are putting more focus on the millimeters, but that's okay. We can get close. We also get a scribe cutting setting or a scribe cut preset. So all you do is flip this little switch and it will hard stop exactly where you need it to do a scribe cut. As far as the weight of this saw, it's pretty well balanced. Even though it has an extra motor up there, it is heavier than my other Festool and probably most of the other track saws I've tested, but it's not like unmanageable. But because it does have that extra motor, that extra scribing blade, it does add a little bit of weight. I'm gonna hold it right in the middle and it's well balanced. So we also get this nice little window that pops down, slides down. It does help with dust collection. Maybe some splintering, but we'll see. Let's put it through the test, see how it's actually going to perform, especially with that scoring blade, and then we'll compare it to some of the competition to see how it stacks up. All right, before we put this through the paces and see how it's going to perform on very delicate material like melamine, or even thicker materials like this big chunk of walnut, what a lot of beginners don't know if they've never used a track saw before is you have to basically fit the track to the saw. And there's a couple things you got to do, especially on a new track. First, you're going to adjust the saw to the track so that you don't have any lateral movement there. And there's 2 knobs on the back of this saw that will let you adjust that. One thing I like to do is just tighten those all the way down until you can't tighten them anymore, and then start backing them off slowly. You want this saw to glide on this track, but you don't want it to be sticky. In other words, it shouldn't be very difficult to move, but you also don't want to feel any movement left and right. And then that, once you get it there, it's adjusted. The other thing a lot of beginners miss, or they get kind of nervous about, the very first cut you make should be trimming that splinter guard up so that it matches the blade that's on your saw. So it's basically like you're creating a 0 clearance for your blade, kind of like you do on a table saw with a 0 clearance insert. Now also, these splinter guards over time can get loose or unstuck from the back. You can always buy extras, especially on older tracks. It's a good idea to replace those every so often anyway. So I picked out some melamine and we're going to test this out. But first we got to calibrate the saw, and then we're going to cut and see how well it does on this very, very thin veneer. This is what you're buying this saw for. If you're cutting veneers like plywoods and melamine and things like that that are very susceptible to breaking and splintering, you're going to want to be able to cut those cleanly, and that's what this should do. So let's check it out. All right, so the way you adjust the depth on this scoring blade is you're going to plunge this down until you see the scoring blade. This is a single diamond tooth blade that's the actual scoring blade, but you do want that, when you plunge it down, you'll see it's free spinning. What you want is to zero that out on this initial depth. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this knob that has a plus and minus on the back, and we're going to rotate it to the plus side until it zeroes out and it does not free spin anymore. As you see here, it is touching, so we're going to leave it there. or that is 0. After that, what you want to do is go 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. That's going to give you the scribe depth that you want for this saw. Each click is 1/10 of a millimeter. So you're making very fine micro adjustments here on the depth. So we have to dial in the scoring blade. And what that means is we've already zeroed it out and then set it 3 clicks below the surface. So what we got to do is align the front blade, the scoring blade, with the back blade. It's very easy to do. There's a little wheel on the back that says L and R. We're going to move it left and right depending on how our cuts go. All right, so you want to make a first cut with that scribing blade with also this blade just barely below that so we can see if it's off any, and if it is, it's very easy to adjust. It likely will need some adjustment, and mine absolutely does. You can see that the scribe blade is further to the right or towards the outside versus the regular cutting blade on the back. So we need to move the scribe blade to the left. And the way we do that is there's a knob right under there that says L and R. Obviously left moves it to the left, R moves it to the right, and this moves it a very small amount, 0.025 millimeters with every click, and there's 20 clicks. So you can really dial this in to be exactly perfect, which is what we're wanting to do. So I'm going to move mine several clicks here. I'm going 8 because it does look like it needs quite a bit. You also want to make sure that you clamp these down because you do not want this track moving while you're trying to dial this in. You also want to make sure that you're starting with this scribe blade off of the material and it moves onto the material, and you don't like just basically use it as a plunge saw. This should start on the before the cut. So as you can see, I moved it 8 clicks and we still need to move it over quite a bit more. So I'm going to have to make a bigger adjustment here. There is a little bit of difference, but not a lot. Go 16 this time. We are getting very close. You could barely see it. Barely see it. Just a couple more clicks, we'll be there. All right, we got 6 times. I was just micro adjusting it each time. We got the first cut, second, and then the third, fourth. You can see how it's getting better and better. The 5th was barely off, and then the 6th is dead on. There is 0 play right there, so we're good to go now. Now that we got it dialed in, we're gonna make some cuts. But if you didn't notice, this melamine with the scoring blade is absolutely super clean. So if you need clean cuts, this is probably going to be the way to go. And we're also going to test it on plywood, so we'll see how that works too. All right, now that we got it dialed in, let's cut this melamine and see how it does. With the scribe cut, you can see this thing is super clean. Like there are 0 chip outs or anything going on. And then I'm going to throw on the Milwaukee track saw and cut it just exactly like I did with the Festool. And you can see there's quite a bit of difference. There's a lot of little chip outs, especially on the drop piece. You can see it comparing it to the previous drop piece from the Festool. There's a lot more chips. So if you're looking for the cleanest cut, I think this Festool with that extra scribing blade is going to be the way to go. Now let's try it on plywood. All right, cutting plywood with the scribe blade on for the first half of the cut anyway. This thing is very, very clean cutting. So even if you're cutting just regular, this is regular plywood you get like at Home Depot or Lowe's with the sanded veneer, it's still getting an extremely good cut. On the second half of the cut, I actually turned off the scribing function. And while you can't see anything on video, because it all looks really clean, you can feel it a little more bumples, a little more splintering, but it's very smooth back here on the first part of the cut. And you can feel a little bit of splinters just kind of sticking up on this second part. So the scribe blade is absolutely working good. So cutting a big old thick piece of walnuts, about 7/8 inches, just shy of 2 inches, 0 issues. This thing cut it right through it, just like a hot knife through butter. The power is there. That was smooth, like it was no bogging at all. It was very smooth. The dust collection is extremely good. Dust collection was really good on the first cut. Then I moved the track to finish the cut, and I saw a lot more dust. I'm not sure what caused that, but there was more dust on the second cut. But as far as cleanliness of cut and all that, everything was butter smooth. I didn't use the scribe cut on the walnut because there's 0 reason to do that for this purpose. So yeah, but everything else was very impressive. The cleanliness of the cuts using that scribe feature is really good. And then I think some people are going to say, well, my saw has a scribe cutting feature just like this one does where you can just flip the switch and it stops it. So why would you need this blade? Well, it's a diamond tooth blade, so you should be getting better cuts on, especially melamine and very, very fragile materials like that. You should be getting a better, cleaner cut with that blade. But also, it's a time savings thing. If you're doing this for a living and time is money, and you're breaking down this stuff and you want to do it in 1 pass versus 2, then that might be the reason why this would be worth a couple $100 more than a regular saw. You tell me. So how does this stack up against the competition or even against another Festool? Well, let's dive in. First, this has the scribe blade. This also has that kickback stop so that it will stop the motor if it kicks back. I was able to activate it once, but I couldn't catch it on camera. After that, I couldn't activate it, but I think it just needs to be under load. The cut quality on this is by far the best I've seen on any track saw. And there's a lot of clean cutting track saws. Milwaukee, Festool, Makita, Festool, like they all cut really clean on the plywood. But just the touch, the feel of the edge of the plywood after I cut with the scribe blade versus not, you could feel a little bit of roughness, a little bit of chipping there. But when you look at the melamine difference, the Milwaukee cut versus this, night and day. There's a lot of chip out there. So you're getting a much cleaner cut with this saw. And as far as power goes, this is as powerful as any saw that I've used, cutting through that walnut with zero issues. The only thing this doesn't have that I really wish it did is anti-tip. I just like to have anti-tip on a track saw like the Milwaukee has, like the Makita has. Although this is really well balanced, I guess because of the extra weight of that motor, unlike a lot of the other track saws that just fall over when you tip them, this isn't falling over. It just lifts barely off the track, so you would still need to hold it to the track. But it's not like the others that just completely lay over. If you're looking at ease of adjustment like depth settings and bevel settings, my cordless Festool is better than this one. I love the pinch and move as well as on the Milwaukee that you just pinch and move it. I like that better than this one. This one's more a different kind of pinch. You basically pinch it like this versus sideways. And it's a little cumbersome to get to, especially on the lower settings. It's a minor quip. I do like that it has the fine tune knob and it slides butter smooth. You don't have to worry about like sticking or anything like that, but I just prefer these two styles. Now the Makita has a pole, a single pole, much like is on your bevel adjustments. You just loosen it and move it and tighten it. This works pretty good too. I just prefer the other styles. Bevel cuts, they all work exactly the same way. 2 thumb screws on the front and back, loosen, make your bevel adjustment, and then tighten them back up. These all are variable speeds, so you can dial up or down the speed wherever you need it. Obviously, the Milwaukee and this Festool here are both cordless, and then the Makita and this Festool are corded. So does that make a difference? Not to me. It's up to you. You can feel a little more power here with the corded saws versus cordless. It's negligible. I've never lacked power in any of these. As far as indicators go, where you see exactly where you're setting your depth or even your angle adjustments, the Milwaukee and these two Festools, top notch. The Makita, really good on the bevel. I would like to see a better indicator on the actual adjustment for the depth though. As far as tracks, all 3 of these can use the exact same track. However, if you use this saw on this track and you cut the splinter guard to fit, if you pick up the Milwaukee and try to make a cut, it will cut the splinter guard closer to the track. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I did it. So it's really good to keep one track for that specific saw that you're using if you want that zero clearance splinter guard on there. But the great thing about this being kind of a universal style track is you can use it with your other track accessories. So if you have things like my favorite track square, the TSO guide rail square, it will work on this track or any in this lineup. So is this Festool, the TSV60 KEB, is it worth the price? Yeah, did you see the cleanliness of the cut? If you're cutting delicate materials like that, you're gonna want this. It is awesome. And just the overall build quality of Festool tools, fit and finish. Chris, I should get my Festool fanboy card back just because I like this much, and especially because I bought the blue track. Come on, give it to me. If you'd like to get notified when I release new videos, when we have sales, when there's other stuff going on, I have an email newsletter that's absolutely free to sign up for. Use the first link in the description and the pinned comment to sign up. It's free. All right, if you like this video, you got to check out that where I tested the top track saws on the market to find out who is the best of the best. And I ranked them from worst to first. Click that box, click in the box, get you the big old virtual fist bump. Dang, I hate when I lose my remote. I really don't even know how it happens or why. Where's my remote?